caps for sale. This is for my granddaughters, who I love very much. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. And first he had his own checkered cap, then a bunch of gray ones, and a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, then on the very top a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. And as he went along, he called, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." And one morning, he couldn't sell any caps. And he walked up the street and he walked down the street calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "Oh, I think I'll go for a walk in the country," he said. And he walked out of town slowly, so as not to upset his caps. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. And that's a nice place for a rest, thought he. And as he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head, then he put his hand to feel as if they were straight. First his own checkered cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep, and he slept for a very long time. And when he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place, and all he felt was his own checkered cap. He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked behind and back of him, no caps. He looked behind the tree, no caps. Then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw? What did he see? On every branch sat a monkey, and on every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do, and finally he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking his finger. "You give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss, tss." This made the peddler angry, and he shook both his hands at them and said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." The monkeys only shook both of their hands back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss, tss." Now he felt quite angry, and he stamped his foot and he said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and he shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." At last, he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap and threw it on the ground and began to walk away. But then each monkey pulled off his cap. All the gray caps, all the brown caps, all the blue caps, all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First his own checkered cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to town calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." The end. I hope you girls liked it. I love you bunches.